Five.
Thank you very much. Just give it one more moment to see if we can get Dr. Gonzalez. Okay, well, we do have a quorum. So we'll go ahead and open the meeting. I will call the meeting to order. This is the regular board meeting on April 15th, 2021. We will be going into executive session shortly and returning right around 5:30 for our regular session. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the New Mexico flag in English and in Spanish, as well as the acknowledgement of tribal land. I'll go ahead and do it unless anybody's feeling super inspired. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Saludo la bandera del Estado de Nuevo México, el símbolo Zia de amistad perfecta entre culturas unidas. Thank you. And the acknowledgement of tribal land. We acknowledge the original people of the land, the Tesuque Pueblo people and other tribal nations, and ask them to walk with us today as we share and learn together. Here's Dr. Gonzalez. Good to see you. You got here. All right.
I was hanging out in Google Meets.
Yes.
And by the way, Rudy is there as well.
Oh, is he?
He was driving, so I just told him to stay there.
I think that's wise.
He was driving, and to look at his email and try and find this link, I didn't think would be safe.
Okay, good stuff. All right, we are now on Roman numeral 2, introduction of interpreter. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Para servicio de traducción en español, marque 701-802-5152, número de acceso 4277-932#. Por favor, mantenga su teléfono en silencio durante la traducción. Gracias.
Okay, moving on to Roman numeral 3 on our agenda. I am guessing that is executive session.
Oh, Madam President, someone alerted to me that you guys didn't approve the agenda.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Oh, yes, skipped right over that. Okay, approval of the agenda. Is any changes needed? And if not, if there's a motion.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
So Dr. Gonzalez has moved approval. Board Member Price has seconded. And for the record, we know that Vice President Garcia is joining us in executive session, and we have 4 board members present at this opening. So we'll do a roll call vote. Secretary Bozé?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Board Member Price?
Yes.
And the president votes yes. Thank you for the reminder. We have approved the agenda. So now, moving to Roman numeral 3, our executive session. Secretary Bozet.
Madam President, I would like to make a motion that the Board of Education moves into executive session where we will discuss the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property, NMSA 1978, turquoise trail lease. This is different than what was just on the agenda that I was looking at. The agenda that was showing said that we were talking about the Santana easement again.
That's on the agenda, I think, later on as action items, but not
Was
for
I
executive.
looking, not for executive? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And limited personnel matters, NMSA 1978, superintendent candidate interviews.
And I'm sorry, I should have gone through the president.
Oh, it's absolutely fine. Thank you. And I think we've just had a lot of emails with different agendas and different sessions. So there's bound to be a little bit of confusion right now. So those are our 2 items. That's a motion. I'll go ahead and second. And we'll move to a roll call vote unless there's further discussion. Secretary Bozet on moving into executive session.
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Board Member Price,
Yes.
and the president votes yes. So we are now in executive session and we'll be back in the regular session right around 5:30. And we'll see you all on the Google link.
Debbie, how are your folks?
We're hanging in there, Dr. Garcia. Thank you. He's had a good day so far.
Okay, I see Dr. Gonzalez. I see Secretary Bozet. Give a moment for Vice President Garcia and Board Member Price to find their way back here. Okay, well, I don't want to keep everybody waiting too much longer. I will hope that our other two board members will join us soon. But Secretary Bozet, do you want to bring us back from executive session? We do have a quorum now with you and me and Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, of course, Madam President. I would like to bring the Board of Education out of executive session where we discuss the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property regarding the Turquoise Trail lease and limited personnel matters regarding superintendent candidate interviews, and no action was taken.
I'll second that.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. We will go ahead and have a roll call vote. Vice President Garcia, are you with us yet? I don't believe so. Secretary Bozay, your vote?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Board Member Price, are you with us yet? Doesn't look that way. And the president votes yes. So we have come back from executive session. Okay, moving on to often the most fun part of our agenda, Roman numeral 4, the school board showcase. And we start with Acequia Madre Elementary Music. Dr. Garcia, are you kicking this off?
Myself, yes, Madam President, members of the board. It just always gives me great pleasure to introduce our coordinator for music education, April Pickrell.
Good evening. I just learned that Santa Fe Public Schools has been named one of the best communities for music education for the 7th year by the NAM Foundation, recognizing commitment and support to music education and the benefits it offers students. This distinction was awarded to 686 districts nationwide. Thank you to all the administrators, teachers, students, parents, and community members for your support of music education. Tonight, I present Kat Keener. She teaches elementary music and choir at Acequia Madre Elementary. This is her 9th year serving Santa Fe Public Schools. Kat recently completed her master's degree in educational psychology from UNM. In addition to teaching, Kat performs regularly, most recently as a contract singer with the Santa Fe Symphony Chorus. She also works as an artist teacher with Arts for Life program through Performance Santa Fe. Please enjoy this talent show performance from Acequia Madre. Screen.
Hello, and welcome to our first ever virtual talent show.
Needless to say, we also hope this will be our last virtual talent show.
There once was a time when I was alone, nowhere to go, no place to go home. My only friend was the man in the moon, and even sometimes he would go away too. Then one night
My name is Joshua Balla and I'm in 4th grade. Today I'm going to be playing Amazing Grace on the violin.
let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. Cold never bothered me anyway.
My name is Joaquin, and I'm in the 3rd grade. I'll be playing Warrior Song by the Saga.
Unmute. Thank you very much. I really love, my favorite part was the teachers dancing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pickerel. Always good to see you. And I want to say every single time, and then I tell myself not to because I'm worried that it'll jinx it, but your technical proficiency is impressive and, you know, relatively flawless, I think. So that's good stuff.
Madam President, on that point, you know, where the principal and the teachers were dancing, they created that as a welcome because I got to see the whole thing. It was really great when the students came back to campus. Isn't that neat?
That is very cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Pickerel.
Thank you, Ms. Pickerel. And thank you to Asake Madre Elementary Music and everybody involved there. It's really good stuff. Okay, moving on to item B on our school board showcase, El Dorado Community School. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We have a wonderful presentation today. And introducing this next segment is the supervisor for El Dorado School, Associate Superintendent Debbie Rayo.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Good evening, President Noble, members of the board, and Superintendent Garcia. It's my pleasure to introduce Principal Ann Darden at the El Dorado Community School. I think what you're going to see tonight is a compilation of some celebrations that they have put together for you. And with that, I would like Miss Ann Darden to please intro the presentation. Ms. Darden, I think you're on mute. Hi, Assistant Principal Karen Lindeen is on camera.
Associate
Hi,
Superintendent Royale, can you hear me?
Oh, there she is.
I can now, thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Darnton. We could hear you. Ms. Darnton, can you hear us? I'm not sure she can. Ms. Lindeen, maybe you want to jump in.
Well, hi, everybody. Okay, I'll go ahead. I don't have the script in front of me.
Okay, I will try again to
there she is.
intro the El Dorado Showcase. Thank you to President Noble and members of the board, Dr. Garcia. Students and staff at El Dorado Community School have been staying connected in different ways during remote and hybrid learning. It might be through being a student journalist for the El Dorado Community School news team and after school club, making art with your art teacher while she is at her home studio, getting recognized by your middle school teachers for acts of positive behavior, participating in sports, being brave and sharing your writing with your first, second grade class during hybrid learning, or collaborating with your fellow musicians for a virtual band concert. Kudos to our students and staff for finding their joy during this past school year. Go Dust Devils. And thank you to Cody for sharing.
ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Dad Time.
Hi.
Who's my dad?
Hi, I'm Dad. I'm his dad. What's
Okay.
happening?
Okay, so just say some dad jokes.
Say some dad jokes.
Yeah,
Okay.
say some dad jokes.
Okay. What did one ocean say to the other ocean?
What?
Nothing. They just waved.
That wasn't funny.
It was funny. Okay. I know why Teslas are so expensive. Because they charge a lot. See,
We'll
that's
be
funny.
right back.
Hello, Miss Morris here. I'm in my art studio at home, and I want to invite you to make art with me.
Hello again, Dust Devils. It's Miss Markham from El Dorado Community School. I'm the 7-8 science teacher. Last time I forgot to introduce myself. I'm here again today as February has closed out to do our Academy shout-outs. We want to say congratulations to some of our Dust Devils who have been Dust Devils strong. The students in this list have received an Academy shout out from one of their Academy teachers from our list of students who have been shouted out. So here we go. I'm going to spin. Congratulations, Orion Vigil.
Elephant and a body of an octopus. Her name would be
Sasha.
Sasha. If I would live a large aquarium, I would feed her monkeys. Sometimes she would sport me with trunk.
Her trunk.
With her trunk.
Can I show the picture?
This is so funny.
There you go.
That's cute.
That's so good at you're so good at trolling. No, you don't say Sasha.
Thank you, Miss. Amber. Next one.
You don't say Sasha. Hey, it's Leah from the EDCS News team. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a chocolate molten lava cake. So, let's get started. The ingredients that you are going to need are 1 cup of chocolate chips, a stick of unsalted butter, also known as 8 tablespoons, 2 egg yolks, 2 eggs, a pinch of salt, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of flour. Okay, on to step 1. I have put my chocolate and my butter into a microwave-safe bowl. I've cut my butter up into small pieces so that it will melt faster. So now I'm going to put it in the microwave until the butter is completely melted.
Hi, I'm still Dad, and I have another joke for you. It's a good
Okay,
one.
This time I'm gonna say if it was funny.
Oh, okay. All right. How do you organize a space party?
How?
You plan it.
That was funny.
That was funny. Okay. Which days are the strongest?
What?
Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays. That's funny.
It was kind of funny.
It was really
but-
funny.
Dust Devil Strong. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Dart and Ms. Lindeen, for being here.
Madam President.
Yes,
if
go
I,
ahead.
If I speak quickly, because El Dorado is one of my schools and it's also the school where my kids attend, and they've had many of those teachers that were highlighted there. And I just want to give a special shout out to Miss Morris, who on Wednesdays during remote learning did invite students to make art with her in her private studio at home. And they got to have kind of an extra art class for enrichment. And all three of my kids participated in that and just loved it. And so another reminder of how much the teachers went above and beyond to keep kids engaged, and just how much I appreciate that personally, but also as a district. So thank you to everyone.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
That was great. I wanted to see that cookie recipe that only takes 2 tablespoons of flour. That sounds like a really good cookie. Great job, Ms. Darton and Ms. Lindeen, and congratulations to your teachers for a wonderful year.
Okay, moving along on our agenda, we have arrived at Roman numeral 5, the union update. And I did see that Grace Mayer, president of NEA Santa Fe, was here. There she is. Welcome, Grace. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yes, and just to say, we do now have the full board. We have Board Member Price on the phone and Vice President Garcia. We can hear you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So the transition to in-person teaching and learning for the last 2 weeks has brought a certain amount of excitement and some challenges. And I think that with the spirit that the staff and the students brought in collaborating on how to make things work and how to engage in learning in a different way with a new schedule, some with students in buildings for the first time, being walked around by other students and making sure that we're keeping those safety protocols in place. I think it's been relatively successful. And as we move into next week, when even more teachers, well, most of the teachers who will be working in person will be fully vaccinated and return, I think some of the duties and the extra things that the educators are having to do and substitute for and assist with in terms of student coverage will be alleviated. So I think that we're looking at a really interesting end of the school year with 5 weeks to go. I know that I've personally this week, I've been really energized by the work and the activity of the students and their willingness to follow the protocols and be safe with each other. So that's pleased me. And as their art teacher, seeing them actually work in progress, see works in progress and help them like along the way has been really energizing. So I'm hoping for more of that and more connection with the students that are in person. But I also do want to emphasize that, you know, these dual platforms that we have for The online platform is still moving forward. We're all still engaged in trying to connect with the students remotely. And we want parents and the community to know that the quality of that education online is at a high level, as you can see from the many times we've visited schools and they've presented to the board. Learning new technology and understanding how to communicate in different ways then is different from what they've learned before. And we want to still maintain that high level of interaction with our online learners. I do want to mention that I think that we really need to look at how education has been fundamentally transformed by this year and by the use of technology and online courses, and how we're going to integrate that into education in the future, next year, and then forever. I mean, I don't think that we really understood the impact of what this pandemic was going to do on the rollout of a new kind of academic modality here. And I think we understand that there is a lot of positives that happen, and we need to figure out what those were for many students who maybe weren't successful in traditional academic environments previously, but with online learning have now engaged in a different way. And I know that for some students, you know, some of the anxieties of being in a classroom in certain ways was alleviated. Obviously, for younger kids, I mean, that a lot of the work was put on the shoulders of our parents, and we thank them as partners in their child's education. We, as educators, never expect to do this alone. It's always been a partnership. So as we move towards the next, finishing out the next quarter in the next 5 weeks, we're really hopeful that the students that are returning have, again, another unique experience that brings them joy in learning. I think that's it for my update.
Relatively short and sweet.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor. And just to say, because I don't think we can say it enough, I appreciate the board and the work of the staff at the district in helping us get a resolution passed and certificates to our students recognizing the other learning that they've done this year, because and this was an idea that did come originally from Ms. Mayor, and to her point, there's been a lot of learning that has happened. And we as a board, I appreciate that we felt it important to recognize that in an official way. Okay, moving on our agenda, Roman numeral 6, public forum. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Mr. Cody Donarski, do we have anyone signed up for public forum tonight?
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Garcia. There are 0 people signed up for public comment tonight.
Okay, well, moving swiftly along. Thank you, Cody. Mr. Donarski. We are now on to board announcements and follow-up. And I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize our 2021 Excellence in Student Achievement Award recipients. Now, we know, and this is a board nominated award we have 15 individuals and organizations which were selected by the board and are presented to individuals and organizations throughout New Mexico through the New Mexico School Boards Association. And it's to folks who have played an important role in improving student achievement in their local district. Now, this was an incredibly difficult selection process because we know how significantly everybody in the district has contributed this year to playing an important role in improving student achievement. And anyway, I was a part of the committee doing the selection process, and I appreciate everybody that helped with that. And it was very, very difficult. And we arrived at 15 folks who really stand out for their work and commitment on behalf of student families and staff. And we really are grateful for the extraordinary efforts of everyone this year, and are glad to celebrate this list of exceptional individuals and organizations. So we start with, and I will ask, I see that we have lots of the honorees here, and I will ask each one in order to say a very brief bit if you're interested. You don't have to, but we'd love to hear a few words from you as we go through. So we start with the Santa Fe Public Schools Adelante program. This year, like none other, the Santa Fe Public Schools Adelante program has been an essential support for district students and families. The program provides services for those experiencing homelessness, including advocacy, tutoring, evening programs, and material aid. It also plays a crucial role in educating the community about child homelessness and advocates for our families' needs with schools, human services agencies, and the community at large. Adelante's leadership in promoting local and national policies toward ending child homelessness and resolving inaccurate beliefs about homelessness within our community has been critical, especially this year. A big passion at Adelante is supporting clients to express themselves creatively and work towards a successful and empowered life beyond their situation. And Atiana Verea Fuentes is here. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Garcia. Really quickly, as coordinator of the Adelante program, I want to thank you. Super honored to be receive this award with a group of recipients here today. Loretta Fernandez, Shannon Guerrero, Eva Barella, Rose Sanchez, Janet Berry, Kenya Alvidres, Magali Campos, Antonia Barella, Noemi Sanchez, Anaka Benia, Paloma Sanchez. That's the team that makes up Adelante, and we strive to meet the needs of the whole child and the whole family. We also couldn't do what we do without the secretaries, the folks at Student Nutrition, Alice Leck at Transportation, and last but not least, Director of Student Wellness, Sue O'Brien, who supports our work day in and day out. So super grateful to be a part of the Santa Fe Public Schools team and do the work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being here. And most of all, for all that you do to support our students and their families. Next, we have Marissa Bonifer, the Director of Facilities and Maintenance. In her 20th year of service to the Santa Fe Public Schools, Marissa Bonifer led and accomplished a monumental task of preparing our schools to receive staff and students in hybrid and then full reentry. No matter the time of day, Ms. Bonifer worked hard to have sites and rooms ready for in-person learning to take place. We appreciate all the effort Ms. Bonifer and her department dedicated to helping the Santa Fe Public Schools accomplish the task of reentry. I see you are also here, Ms. Bonifer. Welcome and thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. I am truly honored for this award. I couldn't have done it without the great team that I have working for me, and of course, my wonderful supervisors. This work for these kids is truly important to me and my staff, and like I said, this is my job, and I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all you've done and all the extras this year. We really appreciate it. Okay, moving on, we have Earth Care and their Santa Fe Mutual Aid and Yucca projects. Earth Care celebrated its 20th anniversary this year and is focused on parent and youth leadership. This year, they created Youth at the Center with the Santa Fe Public Schools as the city planned the new Santa Fe Southside Teen Center. Earth Care surveyed and held focus groups with almost 1,000 young people and others from the South Side area to identify needs and assets, look at possibilities, and have young people dream about what a community that puts students at its center looks like. Last summer, EarthCare created Youth United for Climate Crisis Action, which is YUCCA, which the district partnered on for a climate strike. About 5,000 people participated in the mobilization of young people on climate change, with youth demanding that the governor and legislators declare a climate crisis and organize around the need for political action to save our lives and planet. EarthCare also created, with other organizations, the Santa Fe Mutual Aid Network, an assortment of volunteers, staff, and organizations that's getting food and money into homes. Other EarthCare efforts include moving the city to invest in Wi-Fi in trailer parks, proposing a program of recreation on wheels for the area of Santa Fe between Airport Road and Agua Fria Village, which has no parks, recreation, libraries, teen centers, and etc. And as well as supporting local talent development so young people and adults can build their own self-advocacy skills, lead their communities, and design their own futures. As the district addressed reentry, EarthCare assisted with the Spanish Town Hall and has led efforts for improved communication around asymptomatic COVID transmission. EarthCare is an essential and effective partner with the district, and we are very honored to be the partner of EarthCare. And on a personal note, I did some volunteering with the Santa Fe Mutual Aid Network, which was amazing. And the resources that have been mobilized there and the advocacy through Yucca is so important. And Stephanie Barrera is here on behalf of EarthCare.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stefan. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I got cut off.
All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Barrera. I am here representing EarthCare. My team and myself appreciate our partnership working with your wonderful teachers, your students, and their parents. We look forward to continue working together and doing great things together and better our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and congratulations. Moving along, next we have Principal Michael Hagley of the Early College Opportunities Program. He is steady, positive, and even-keeled, has the best intentions for his staff and students, and overall is a great leader not only of the ECO school, but in our district as a whole. Mr. Hagley led his school through the pandemic and was instrumental in ECO's graduation rate, in increasing ECO's graduation rate by 20% from the previous graduating class, which of course marks dramatic growth. ECO is a very unique school, and we are extremely lucky to have Mr. Hagley as principal. And is he here? Yes, he is. Please tell me I'm saying your name at least in the ballpark of correct.
Hagley.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought so.
Well, thank you very much, Board President Noble, members of the board, Superintendent Garcia. I am honored to receive this recognition. I have to say, working at ECO is a joy, and being a part of a historic program in the Santa Fe Public Schools, and being a part of an amazing team of teachers and school and district staff, community partners, parents, and students has been an amazing experience. We've been focusing on expanding internship opportunities for students and multiple pathways to college and career, and we will continue to do that with your support. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations on those graduation rates, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving swiftly along, next we have a woman who almost needs no introduction at this point, but Anita Hett. She is our lead nurse for the Santa Fe Public Schools. Anita Hett is an extraordinary, compassionate woman and nurse leader. As lead nurse for the last 7 years and a combined 18 years with the Santa Fe Public Schools, Ms. Hett has worked tirelessly to be of service to others, school nurses and nurse aides, school staff, district staff, and students and their families. She's led our district through the pandemic with grace and strength, committing hours beyond imagination to nurture and educate staff in our community while ensuring our district remains compliant with rigorous state and federal requirements. Her accomplishments as lead nurse are humbling, and I will add, especially in a pandemic. Ms. Het, she was here. Is she still here? I swear I saw her earlier.
She is there.
Oh, okay. Ms. Het, would you like to say a few words? We're very appreciative of your service.
President Noble, I know that Anita was having difficulty with her internet, so I'll see if I can get her on.
Okay. She does appear to be on, but all right, we will move swiftly along, and maybe if we think we've sorted out Ms. Het's issues, if somebody wants to send me a message, that'd be great. Okay, we are now at Shauna LaValle, who is the Santa Fe Public Schools custodial supervisor. For over 8 years, Shauna LaValle has supervised the public schools contract custodians. She and her crews have maintained their steadfast work ethic throughout the pandemic, committing countless hours to readying facilities for reentry of staff and students. Ms. LaValle responds to every request with enthusiasm and takes pride in completing work above and beyond what is asked of her. And again, in a pandemic, we are so dependent on our custodial team doing a great job. Ms. LaValle, is she here? Yes.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I was very shocked to hear that I had won an award, and I'm very thankful for people noticing all the hard work that the custodians have done. It was a lot of training and retraining and educating ourselves on just how to keep people safe. A lot of the custodians in Santa Fe have children that go to the school, so that part was a little bit easier. So maybe they were more enthusiastic, but thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. We so appreciate all you and your team do for us.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kristen Lewis, Santa Fe Public Schools reading specialist. Kristen Lewis has been with the Santa Fe Public Schools for 13 years, serving the district in a variety of roles: classroom teacher, site instructional coach, and recently early literacy specialist in curriculum and instruction. She is dedicated to student learning and teacher development and support, and has done a phenomenal job this school year supporting instruction in our elementary schools by working closely with teachers on engaging lesson development and data analysis. She has built meaningful relationships and is highly respected by her colleagues and site administrators. Congratulations, Ms. Lewis. Thank you for your service to the Santa Fe Public Schools. Do you want to say a few words?
I just want to say thank you. I'm honored, and like everyone else, we're passionate about what we do. And I'm thankful to the leadership that I've worked under that continues to push me to continue growing and learning and setting high expectations for all of us in the district, myself, our students, and our teachers. So thank you.
Thank you. Like your background too. That's a whole lot of love. Okay, moving along. Next, we have Carl Morano, who is, of course, the principal at Santa Fe High School. Carl Morano has a deep passion for Santa Fe High School and provides great leadership at the school. Even though the pandemic disrupted in-person instruction, Santa Fe High has continued its amazing progress. He told the Santa Fe New Mexican in February of this year that, quote, "My motto from day one, and I know it might sound cheesy, is we put students first. Now, we don't put students ahead of health and safety, but at the same time, we're in this profession to help our students, and this is an important time." Under Mr. Morano's guidance, Santa Fe High increased its graduation rate in the 2019-2020 year by 11% and helped contribute to an overall increase of an 8% increase in the district's graduation rate. He is beloved by many students and staff alike. Thank you for your service and congratulations, Principal Morano.
Thank you so much, Board President Noble and Superintendent Garcia and the board. I'm just humbled and honored to be recognized, and I I just want to thank Superintendent Garcia. Well, you're going to be missed, and you know how much I appreciate you and your leadership and all you've taught me, and of course all of our associate superintendents and their supervisory role of helping me along. Mr. Chavez, Vanessa Romero, Linda Sink was my supervisor a few years ago, and I've just learned so much and tried to take each one of their leadership styles and make it work for me. And also I can't thank our staff enough. They do all the groundwork, and this is an honor and an award that we share together as a staff, because without their hard work and their dedication to our students, none of this would be possible. And we're proud of our work, and we're going to continue to strive to even be better and continue the great work. So thank you all. And again, it's so neat to see all of these other people be recognized as well, because they do such great work and we have such a great district. So just honored to be a part of it, and thanks again.
Thank you. And I see that we now have Anita Hett, our lead nurse. I don't know if you were able to hear us before, but we hope to maybe hear from you, and congratulations and thank you, Ms. Hett.
Thank you so much. I still am having unstable internet connection, so I hope that you can hear me now. President Noble and members of the board, Dr. Garcia, I am so honored to receive this recognition, especially for student academic success. That just is exactly what we're here for, to support students so that they can be at their optimal state of health, so that they can be ready to learn and turn out to be successful adults. I am in such great company to receive this award, and I want to give kudos to my staff, all of the nurses and the nurse aides that have been working so tirelessly this year, and also to Sue O'Brien, who has supported me, and also Dr. Garcia. This has been such a wild ride this year. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you so much for this award.
Thank you so much for all you do. Okay, next we have, where did she go? There she is, Mary Massey, who is our Santa Fe Public Schools Extended Learning Coordinator and has worn many different hats in our district. Mary Massey has been a public school educator for more than 25 years. She serves students in high school journalism as a high school journalism teacher, instructional coach, school administrator, and program director. Currently, Ms. Massey is transitioning into the leadership role for both the Advancement via Individual Determination, better known as AVID, and Career and Technical Education, CTE programs. This transition comes as she prepares to ensure her work over the last 5 years as Extended Learning Coordinator and Program Director for the 21st Century Community Learning Centers after school programs, and propels a new grant funding cycle. New Mexico's Northwest region of 21st Century Community Learning Centers paid tribute to Ms. Massey recently when saying of its trip to Salazar Elementary, "Your staff and students are so positive and they interacted with one another extremely well." And on a personal note, I'd say when I first arrived back in Santa Fe, having spent some time in New York City and looked into innovative stuff that was going on, before too long, I was directed to Ms. Massey's classroom and the program she was doing with videography at Capitol. So it's been a long time since then now, and it's wonderful that you are still doing great work for our district. Thank you, Mary Massey.
Good evening, President Noble, members of the board, and Superintendent Garcia. Thank you so much for this recognition. I am humbled, and it has been my incredible honor and privilege to work for the students of the Santa Fe Public Schools. I really accept this award on behalf of all the educators that I work with every day. My 21st century teachers and staff are just truly amazing. And especially during this, extremely difficult year, they have met the challenge over and over again. And I really have to thank all my colleagues at Curriculum Instruction. They are just wonderful people to work with, and especially Dr. Lomax and Linda Sink, I want to give a shout out to for their unwavering support. So thank you very, very much. Truly appreciate it.
And thank you for all you do. Next, we're going to bring back Grace Mayer, the president of NEA Santa Fe and Milagro Middle School art teacher. Grace is a longtime president of the NEA Santa Fe, and she works incredibly hard with the district on collective bargaining. She is a tireless advocate for teachers, staff, and really has a much wider purview even than the members of her bargaining unit. She always comes with innovative ideas and solutions. She never seems to run out of them, and she just keeps going. Sometimes it may be difficult, but Ms. Mayer never stops showing up to make sure that there is a strong voice of staff and brought to the district level, and that we take care of the most important folks in our world, who are the people that work here. Ms. Mayer, we so appreciate how hard you work and all you do, and thank you for your service to the Santa Fe Public Schools.
Thank you, Board President Noble, board members. Dr. Garcia, Deputy Superintendent Sink. I have to say I was surprised, but I'm grateful that you are honoring me this evening with so many other people that work so diligently to make sure that our students are receiving the best education they can, and our employees are working in a safe environment. And I'm really appreciative to our school board that has been dedicated and believes in collective bargaining and in a fair working conditions for all of its employees, and strives to provide a living wage for our employees. It's been a partnership, and I wanted to especially mention in the beginning Deputy Superintendent Sink, because she is the lead negotiator for the district, and sometimes we joke about in the middle of the night when we have to discuss something and resolve something, that she has two bosses. Sometimes she jokes about that, and I know she says that kindly to me, but she's not truly my boss. But I appreciate the district's willingness to listen to its employees through their elected representative, who that is who, I represent our memberships, and we have an elected group of individuals that serve on our local board, and then our association reps that are in the buildings that work directly with the principals to maintain our contract rights and to serve the membership in that capacity. So I want to thank them for all the diligence that they do in the workplace directly to resolve issues, so that teaching and learning happens every day. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And as Ms. Mayer said, so much is the devil is in the details and working through all of those particular issues. And we appreciate everyone who's involved in that, because we've got to be able to do it and work as a community towards solutions. Thank you, Ms. Mayer. Next, we have Cynthia Maynard, who is a Cesar Chavez Elementary School teacher. Cynthia Maynard has transitioned from research teacher, contact teacher, and interventionist to MLSS coordinator. I don't know what MLSS stands for. Each transition has allowed her to make a greater impact on more students and ensure that no child falls through the cracks. She monitors data for every student, working with their teacher to intervene and ensuring that interventions promote student success. With Ms. Maynard's help, the classroom intervention plan has been provided to 217 students And 37 students have continued support through the Students Assistant Team. 21 have needed support beyond the general education classroom and are awaiting diagnostics. Her work ensures that all students will receive the support they need at their level for a successful future. She also works endlessly to support teaching staff in creating, following, and tracking student CIPs, which is classroom intervention plans, and is dedicated to maintaining adequate records and requesting teachers begin the CIP process after analyzing student data. She is Cesar Chavez's school testing coordinator, SAT, which is Student Assistant Team Leader, and plays a key role as a leader on the administrative team. She's recently applied to the Cooperative Educational Service Principal Leadership Development Program to become a school administrator. And again, Ms. Maynard, we thank you for your service. I'm not sure she is here. I don't see her name listed, but this is also clearly an example of working through all of the details to make sure that our students get the individual attention and services they need. So congratulations to Cynthia Maynard. Next, we have Dr. Tom Ryan. He is our Chief Data and Information Officer. Dr. Ryan led the unprecedented effort that made Santa Fe Public Schools one of the first school districts to stand up a remote learning program when the pandemic hit in 2020. He is a state, national, and international leader in educational technology and recently earned praise for his participation in the Tech Leaders Panel at the Ed Focus Industry Summit, where he shared his thoughts on what's needed, changes made, and what's been learned during the pandemic to improve education. Dr. Ryan holds a PhD in curriculum instruction and was the CIO, Chief Information Officer of Albuquerque Public Schools for 11 years, where he led all IT efforts. And I would add that Dr. Ryan had us in a very good position when we didn't even know we were going to need our technology, online instruction, computer science initiative, and many things in preparation for the pandemic. And he put us way ahead, not just in this state, but in the country in terms of what we've been able to accomplish. Thank you and congratulations, Dr. Ryan.
Well, President Noble and board members, Dr. Garcia, I'm happy to, as the head cheerleader of the technology department, to accept some recognition for the team, because I didn't do any of that. If it wasn't for Patricia Nordby and Dr. Weaver and the techs, the DLCs, and the help desk folks, we would have really struggled. I've been in education for over 40 years, and this is a fantastic team, and not only the people I work with directly with technology, but working with Miss Sink. I mean, I don't know how much I know she was sick and tired of seeing our face, but her team came together with our team specifically over the summer with professional development and training, and so I've just been honored to be a part of this district, and Dr. Garcia's willingness to let us innovate and do some amazing things. And lastly, if we wouldn't have had the support of the community through our ETN votes to build out the infrastructure so that we could stand up something that the state can be proud of, we wouldn't have been able to be here. So I appreciate and recognize the talented team that has really got us here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ryan. And staying with the theme, our next award recipient is Dr. Neil Weaver, who is our Executive Director of Digital Learning. Dr. Weaver has been a stalwart leader in making the digital learning experience central to learning across all academic endeavors in the Santa Fe Public Schools. COVID-19 moved technology to the forefront, and through his leadership, there's no going back. Because of Santa Fe's support of educational technology notes, Dr. Weaver has furthered the district's ability to provide students with critical technology so they can succeed in a world that is forever changed. Just a few months into the pandemic, in May 2019, the district had responded to the 4% of students who lacked internet access by providing hotspots to those students and their families and parking lot access across the city. Dr. Weaver has been instrumental in closing digital learning gaps and is regarded as a key learning collaborator, as we just heard from Dr. Ryan. Dr. Weaver, thank you very much. I know you've worked incredibly hard this year, and we so appreciate you.
Thank you, Board President Noble, members of the board, Superintendent Garcia. Like everybody else, all 14 before me, I'm honored to accept this award. And as Dr. Ryan indicated and Ms. Mayer indicated, as well as Board President Noble, we're really at a place where we're not moving back. Technology and the digital resources that we have employed and integrated over the last little over a year are here to stay. I'd really like to call out the digital learning team, the digital learning coaches, and my project management team. The work that we're talking about really rests on their backs. And as Dr. Ryan indicated as well, a very, very strong relationship, collaboration has been developed with both teaching and learning, Ms. Sink's team and Dr. Lomax's team in curriculum and instruction as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And there were only 12 before you. You're number 13. We've got 2 more because I'm messing with the order a little bit. Next, we have Linda Sink. 2 people who have announced their retirements, and we are heartbroken to have them leave, but we want to honor all that they've done, which is so significant. Linda Sink is Deputy Superintendent for Teaching and Learning and is a highly respected professional for leading, and she led the Santa Fe Public Schools curriculum reform and alignment efforts over the past 5 years. She oversees multiple departments, each of which is headed by a director in planning, developing, and implementing functions related to curriculum, instruction, and staff development. During this past school year, she led some of the most innovative professional development initiatives regarding hybrid and remote instructional practices. Her dedication, expertise, and commitment to teaching and learning have provided the district with a strong foundation. Prior to joining the district, she was with Cooperative Educational Services, where she was Director of Ancillary Services. She served as a high school biology teacher, administrator, principal, and chief academic officer for the Albuquerque Public Schools. And our academics are more rigorous and successful than ever, in part because of the work of Linda Sink. Thank you, Linda Sink.
Well, thank you, President Noble and members of the board, and my fabulous boss, Dr. Garcia, who brought me here. And I was able then to experience a smaller district that I felt like I could actually help make a difference. It's so hard in a district of 90,000 students to feel like you've made a difference. And so this has been such a dream come true. I feel very honored today. I appreciate being recognized for something I've been so passionate about for the last 40 years. It almost makes me want to cry. And all of the people that I've met here and that I've worked with, I have to say, like Tom and Neil have said, that we couldn't do this work without our fabulous teams. My academic team with Vanessa and Larry and Dr. Lomax and Sue and Julie, Lisa, and I know there's one more, but I'll think of her in a minute. Nancy, my Nancy. She is just so precious, and the work that we all do and the visions that we've had would only come true because of them. And I just have to deeply thank them. And I have to thank the board again for the support you've given us and given me. I have always felt welcome in the day and not, from somewhere else. I felt part of this community, and it's been so wonderful. This is just icing on the cake to be recognized. And I just so appreciate you, and I appreciate my boss. So with that, thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. And last but not least, Dr. Veronica C. Garcia, the superintendent of our schools, who has also announced her retirement, in case you hadn't heard. She is, of course, a 2-time superintendent of the Santa Fe Public Schools, a former cabinet secretary of education, the first and arguably most notable to date. And she has overseen the Santa Fe Public Schools for the past 5 years, I believe it is. And we have seen a rise in graduation rates. We have seen a lot of increased emphasis on equity, multiculturalism, and we have faced a pandemic year where everything had to be reinvented. And, you know, I've become fond of saying, as a former Wall Street reporter, everybody likes to pat the business community on the back for changing things, pivoting, all of the things that are celebrated in the business world, but never has there been an industry that so completely changed its modality and everything it had to do as education, and particularly public schools, in the past year. And I think we all feel that the Santa Fe Public Schools has had extraordinary success under incredibly difficult circumstances this past year, in large part because of Dr. Garcia's leadership, her leading with the head and the heart, her tireless work ethic. She really doesn't stop. And this year has been the cherry on the sundae. And Dr. Garcia, congratulations on your incredible career, on all that you have brought to the Santa Fe Public Schools and our students and family and staff. And we so appreciate and honor you.
Thank you so much, Madam President, members of the board. I mean, what you've just recognized, all of these amazing people, it has just really been my honor to work with all of you. You know, here's all the wind beneath my wings. And you can, if you can imagine all of this talent and all of these strong-willed, intelligent people in cabinet meetings and SS cabinet meetings, it is just amazing. And it has been a true joy to work with all of these people out in the schools. It's just amazing. And the culture that we have in our district is really something for us all to be proud of. It really is Go Team Santa Fe. You know, from whatever role in the schools, you know, from our sparkling windows to the caring people that work in cafeteria services, you know, to the friendly faces that meet us at the door, you know, the secretaries when we come in, the leadership with the principals. I mean, I could just go on and on. But and we have a great board, and we're so fortunate because you all helped set that tone. So it's truly been my honor. 48 years in some capacity or another related to public schools. And I have to tell you that I'm so grateful that I got to spend these last 5 years in this capacity, working full time, doing this sort of work with you. I love the Santa Fe Public Schools and all the people in it, in the community. You'll always be in my heart, and I'm just grateful for having had the opportunity to serve you and to serve with this amazing team. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garcia, and congratulations. And congratulations to all of our recipients of the 2021 Excellence in Student Achievement Award. It's so wonderful to hear all of the emphasis on the teamwork, and we know that there are teams behind all of you, and we appreciate them and so appreciate all of you. Congratulations on your awards. Okay, are there any other board announcements?
Madam President, if I may, this is Rudy.
Yes, go ahead, Vice President Garcia.
I don't even know where to start. This breaks my heart. Hold on a second. Congratulations to all the people that are getting the awards, and some of the people leaving. It just breaks my heart. And I'll start with yourself. For the BBC, a well-known individual that worked for BBC, which is a worldwide national organization. Great job, Madam President. I'll now start with, let's see here, with the Dr. Garcia. You know what? It's we have some hard shoes to fill because you did an excellent job. The first secretary under Governor Richardson to be the first Secretary of Public Education, and you did an excellent job as into the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit, which you got a little bit of hassle for it. Because why? Because you stood up for what you thought was right. And so did everybody else that's getting these awards, because all you individuals, you guys had passion for the schools. I can remember probably about 3 years ago, Dr. Garcia and I went to a classroom, and it blew my mind as into the kids are going to go outside and play, and for the teacher to actually get them to line up in order to go outside and play, I was like, wow. But once again, to all the recipients, Dr. Garcia and your team, great job. It breaks my heart that you have to do what you need to do, Dr. Garcia. Let's see, everything out here. But once again, for you people that are listening, President Kate Noble, excellent job working for the BBC. Google the BBC. She did a great job, and everything under that, great job. And Dr. Garcia, once again, you and your entire team has done a great job. You know, I can talk about, this is Echo. I went to Voltec and I graduated from Voltec. My best friend that owns Custom Craft, when you come into Santa Fe there on the right, he owns that automotive collision center there, and his wife is Mary Meir. Mr. Meir was an individual that actually taught a lot of machinists that are working in a laboratory now. And so, like I said, I went to Voltec, and it's a great job over there as well. Every Miss Monifer, my grandpa retired from the state capitol, and he was one of the, when you go to the airport or you go anywhere in the state capitol, or you wake up in the morning before everybody gets up and the streets are done, the snow's plowed, and you turn on the lights. Great job, Miss Bonifer. And I know you know who I am. And I'm at let's see what I have also here. The nurses, one of the things that you did, Dr. Garcia, is nurses in this community, in our schools, very important. And thank you for what you did. You're on your team, and the lady that spoke, great job. Dr. Ryan, like the president mentioned, Weiner, you know what? Great job, because you know what? We're ahead of the game. We're ahead of APS, way ahead of APS. The lady that spoke from Cedar Chavez for 117 kids, great, awesome job. Like somebody mentioned, it's been a wild ride this year, and it's been a very wild ride for us as a board, as policymakers, and it's tough and it's hard. But yes, we've been on a wild ride, and you guys have done it, Dr. Garcia and your team. Mrs. Sink, very quiet lady, but as a president, as Grace said, congratulations, Grace, as well, for stepping up to the plate for what you do, Grace. Then Ms. Sink, you're a wonderful person, as well as your entire team. Very great job, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Mr. Morano, you and I have a separate, we know each other for many, many years. And I've gotten a call from several individuals in the past year and a half. Penny Allen Screen, our zoning director, she said, you know, Mr. Morano, he sits here in the morning and he shakes everybody's, he knows every single kid's name, and he does an excellent job. So just to let you know, Mr. Morano, that there's people out there that watch what you do and how you do it, and great job. Once again, Ms. Sink, Dr. Garcia, it's going to be hard. Weaver, Dr. Ryan, you guys have done an excellent job for this community, and appreciate you guys. It just breaks my heart, because you all have to do what you need to do. We still have Carl and a few other people that are going to do an excellent job, and congratulations, you all that have received the awards. And thank you, because every educator, especially in the community of Santa Fe, has a lot of passion for this community, and I appreciate everything you all do. And
I was 15.
So thank you all for what you've done and for receiving these awards, because very, very well appreciated. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes, go ahead, Secretary Bozay.
I would like to give a shout out. Some of these people were already given awards, so extra kudos for them. But to all of the district staff that are not normally classroom teachers that have been covering classrooms as we have returned to school learning in person, just such dedication. And I've seen it and appreciate it, and just want to recognize all of the dedication from people who don't normally work in the classrooms, stepping up to the plate and helping out to make sure that those classrooms are covered. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. I second that. Thank you, everyone who has stepped up, and it's been reentry. And I should say that all of the 2021 Excellence in Student Achievement Award recipients will be receiving an engraved plaque. So you can work with Alma Behar on getting yours. And again, we congratulate to all our honorees for this tonight, and hope you enjoy those lovely plaques. Okay, if there are no other board announcements and follow-up, we will move on to superintendent announcements and follow-up. And Dr. Veronica C. Garcia is here.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I think at my last meeting, I will explain to people wonder why I say Veronica C. Garcia. Okay, so reentry, and Secretary Bozay stole a little bit of my thunder, but we have 57 district staff, from general counsel to deputy superintendents and associate superintendents, and receptionists and general counsel, teachers, digital coaches, instructional coaches. I can just go on and on. I know it's been so hard on you all. The whole community engagement office, I think, was out. Data from every department, IT, Dr. Ryan. People have been out in the schools, 57 of them, and they have full-time jobs. And this is one of the busiest times of year. They've got reports that have to get in and applications that have to be completed in order to have the funding that we need for the schools for the 21-22 school year. And so I know they're freaking out, but we put kids first and their safety as we waited for faculty and staff to become fully vaccinated. So thank you so much. I know it's been really, really hard, but I know that the schools have really appreciated it. And it's been wonderful being out in the schools, and the joy that we've seen of the kids returning, and the creativity of the teachers. And wow, I just saw so many teachers doing amazing things with hybrid, and how they've made it work. And we were fortunate to be able to host Dr. Ryan Stewart, Secretary of Education. Board member Carmen Gonzalez joined me to tour the school with Dr. Jeffrey. And we saw some really great things, and got a lot of positive feedback from him of all the protocols we have in place. And so congratulations to everyone that has made the first 2 weeks of school. Again, as you can see, it took a whole army to make it happen, and so many unsung heroes. But it's been a really exciting, and I really look forward to Monday the 19th, where you'll have a lot of your teachers back. And I look forward to the rest of the school year. I do want to say that when we talked about education being forever changed, we're kind of looking through of what are applications, right, for as we move forward. And one is also in being able to perhaps work with teachers, hard to find teachers in a particular area. I was thinking of math and Ortiz. If we could have had a retired teacher, maybe living in Alamogordo, that would be willing to teach remotely, it would have been better than our kids being with a substitute teacher, remember, for that whole year or two. And so I think we have to start expanding our vision of, sometimes when we can't find a difficult to place teacher in a program, how can we incorporate online till we can actually hire somebody versus having students with a sub. Those are things, that have to be worked out, but we need to explore because they can help us meet challenges or to help expand the curriculum or for tutoring or for access. And just within the classroom itself, the creativity that we've seen and the applications have been amazing. And we're super excited about next year. Our district will be offering a remote learning program completely at the middle school level. Desert Sage, was approved for 6th through 12th grade. So next year we'll be welcoming 6th graders. And I hope that we will consider exploring moving it down to lower grades as well, because as was said by Ms. Mayer, for many kids, that is an option that really works for them for various reasons. And as we work to be competitive and offer choice within public schools, it makes sense to continue to expand that. I want to highlight a little bit of legislation. I'm not going to go over all that deals with the financial increases, fiscal changes rather, from that to federal impact aid. We will talk about that on, I believe it's the 22nd, next Thursday, when we will have our finance study session. There is a bill, House Bill 128, school personnel background and training, which was an MCA bill, requires applicants for school employment or school volunteer positions to disclose past ethical misconduct, requires local school boards to adopt policies tracking child abuse allegations, allows the termination of school employment or school volunteer position decision to be public, adds ethical misconduct to school training programs, requires school volunteers to complete school training programs, requires reports of child abuse by school personnel, volunteers, contractors or contractors' employees, requires reporting of abuse by a parent, custodian, or guardian to be reported. So this is all going a long way, I think, to increase student safety, but there will be policies that will be coming to the board. In capital outlay, we received $50,000 for information technology upgrade. And of interest, there was $1.8 million for the construction of a Southside Teen Center. We've spoken about HJR1 on the permanent school fund for 1.25%, with 60% going to early childhood and care and 40% for enhanced instruction for students at risk of failure and extending the school year and public school teacher compensation. And the next big stop, of course, is an election, a general election for support from the voters of New Mexico. Senate Bill 17, the Family Income Index, will provide additional funding for our students who meet certain income levels. And 1/3 of the funds are for structured literacy, 1/3 for evidence-based mathematics instruction, and 1/3 for other interventions. These dollars cannot be used for salary increases and must go directly to support students in the schools. Additional funding, obviously, for K-5+ and extended learning. You'll hear more about that on Thursday. Increased ed retirement contributions. The employer will have to pay more for that. So we'll talk to you in depth about that one. And there was House Joint Memorial 5, which will study the effects of the funding formula changes that request LEFC and LFC to appoint a joint subcommittee to study the effects of changes to the public school code of the funding formula and provide recommendations to the 55th legislative session. That will be an important one to watch. The unit value is now set, and it was set late Friday. It's the latest it ever has been. And so we're really struggling to keep up with a new format for how our units are calculated. We spent hours this afternoon trying to decipher that. The unit value is $4,770.70, an increase of $233.95, or about 5.16%. However, we've had a decrease of 600 membership units due to a decline in enrollment. So, we will not be seeing that level of increase when it's all said and done. And we did not see any provision for hold harmless whatsoever. So we will have our challenges. On some good news, Barbara Tetritz received the Aspiration in Computing Educator Award. So we congratulate her. She's a Capitol High School computer science teacher, and she is the 2021 National Center for Women and Information Technology Aspirations in Computing Educator Award recipient. She was selected from more than 300 applicants from all 50 states. And this includes, the territories and the military bases. And she's an exemplary formal and this recognized exemplary formal and informal educators who play a pivotal role in encouraging 9th through 12th grade students who identify as women, genderqueer or non-binary, to explore their interest in computing and technology. The award recognizes these educators for their efforts, and more than 500 educators have been recognized and have received more than $225,000 in professional development to improve their computing education skills. On April 6th, we saw 5,090 students attending school in person. Buses are running and meals are being served. 747 instructional staff returned on April 6th. We are estimating that 90% will return on April 19th. And as I said earlier, district staff from all departments have assisted at school sites to cover classes or internet cafes. K5 Plus to help recover the in-person instructional time that was lost to students due to COVID-19 public health emergencies. The Santa Fe Public Schools have opted to participate in the extended learning program as opposed to the K5 Plus because of the requirements, which had to be school-wide, all staff, all students. And we were unable to get that level of participation. We would have preferred, as was in previous years, where we could offer it for certain grades. We will be bringing to the board at the next board meeting a calendar that adds those additional 10 days so that we can go district-wide for helping students to make up for that lost time and providing enrichment. Just Ask inquiry form by Department of Community Engagement Department will be going live. The new Ask SFPS form will replace the existing SFPS generic email, which is currently found by the envelope listed at the bottom of sfps.info. This will give parents and community the option to direct their questions, inquiry, or concerns to a specific department. The form has been updated so it's appropriately routed to the correct department with continued assistance from Equity, Diversity, and Engagement Department. The form has been visually streamlined to match other SFPS forms, and this will really help our parents to get to the right department and help us be more responsive. And last but not least, I want to recognize Dr. Melissa Lomax. The Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction has announced her retirement at the end of this school year. We greatly appreciate the wealth of experience that she has brought to our district. Deputy Superintendent Sink has depended on Dr. Lomax for 5 years to direct and manage the most critical work related to teaching and learning. Her tenacity and organizational skills have served our district well. She has helped to develop systems in teaching and learning like our K-12 curriculum maps, Math Matters curriculum, and Read First Santa Fe initiatives. Her work with assessments like iStation and the partnership she built with the assessment group supports our teachers in assessing their students in reading and improving reading scores. We are fortunate that Dr. Lomax has shared her skills and experience to serve our community. We'll be forever grateful. Her lasting legacy is the instructional foundation that she has built. A certificate of recognition will be sent to Dr. Lomax for her critical work. Thank you. You will be greatly missed. And that concludes my announcements.
Well, congratulations, Dr. Lomax, on your retirement. I don't know that I can take more heartbreak right now. But we are so grateful for all that you've done for the Santa Fe Public Schools and your extraordinary work and leadership. And if you want to rethink retirement, you know, still time for that. Sheesh. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Lots of great announcements in there and just a little bit of heartbreak. And the not being held harmless is pretty significant. So that, well, we'll learn a lot about it at our study session next week, I suppose.
And I do want to say regarding Dr. Lomax that I think all of us took the charge about succession planning and building capacity. And Dr. Lomax has done a great job of mentoring many in her department. And again, big shoes to fill, but she's also done a great job of mentoring.
Yes. And we appreciate that a great deal. I do know we have a very strong bench and that there's been a lot of work by a lot of great people. And again, a lot of teamwork for all of these things. Yes, Dr. Lomax, go ahead.
Madam President and members of the board and Superintendent Garcia and all of my colleagues, you really took me by surprise because I moved into the kitchen and I put my cooking clothes on. Could I just say what a pleasure it has been and how enriching this opportunity has been to watch people grow and develop and serve others. And it's because Dr. Garcia leads with her heart and her head and her experience and her charity and her high expectations. All of those things are modeled. And so it becomes second nature to assume those supportive characteristics and to continue to spread that warmth, love, belief, appreciation. And anyway, I'm not going to go on, but I really do thank you. And I thank every one of the board members. I've had a chance to work with President Noble at the early childhood level, more so than any of the other members. Dr. Gonzalez's and my paths have crossed ways in the past, meaning in growth-oriented circumstances. But I just want to say I'm thrilled at the work that Dr. Garcia has supported in building opportunities for our youngest learners and our needs for support of our rich diversity. Thank you. Thank you. Linda, can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough for envisioning what it takes to build the strong support and to just say, come on, team, y'all go get them. And Tom, you know, I should be saying Dr. Ryan, Dr. Weaver, and all of that, but the experiences that we've had with digital learning, this year is a year of hard work and pleasure. And I'm done. Thank you, President Noble. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Dr. Garcia and Linda and everybody else here. I'm honored. And now I'll go fry my chicken.
Thank you, Dr. Lomax. We so appreciate you. And thank you for your kind words and team building. Okay, moving along, we are on Roman numeral 9, our presentation, which is on student internet home access study. Dr. Garcia.
Yes, so it is my pleasure and honor to introduce the renowned Dr. Tom Ryan.
Yep, muted.
President Noble, members of the board, Dr. Garcia, really honored to present some information today with Dr. Weaver. He's driving, so we can reduce some of the strain on internet connection. We were working with a company to try to get some data, and I've about how our kids were getting connected. We didn't want to just assume because they were given a hotspot that they were there. And we also wanted to identify who doesn't seem to be logging in and getting connected. And working with Anive, we were able to create a tool that allowed us to connect our student information system with all of the internet connection data. And that then I presented to some of my peers who got excited about it. And then Nikosin, who presented it to the Chan Zuckerberg initiative. And they funded a grant, next slide, that ended up creating just a ton of information and data. Neil, could you go to the next slide? And ended up being something that COSIN used to inform the FCC on how we should fund E-rate going forward. So the Emergency Broadband Act, as well as several others. So this is being considered right now by the FCC and how we're going to be looking at doing future work with technology. So Santa Fe was at the fore in this initiative, and I just want to go through a little bit very quickly, and I'll take some questions. So next slide. So the consortium decided to Chan Zuckerberg, what is it that a student needs at home in order to have a good quality connection, and what are recommendations? And that's what that was about. And I want to explain, next slide is, it talks about, and I know the board and superintendent know, but to community members, we often talk about bandwidth, and bandwidth, like Interstate 25 is actually the number of lanes that are available. But as you can see in the picture on the right, even though there's a lot of lanes available, it doesn't mean you're going 70 miles an hour. So when the traffic congests on that connection, you go slow. On top of that, the device that you use, or the vehicle you drive, the moped, the car, and the truck, all travel at different speeds and carry a bigger or lighter load. So just saying that we need so much internet connectivity to our kids isn't really what we're looking at. We've got to, on our networks, look at the devices that are on it, the ISPs, the internet service provider, look at the speed of connection. Is it a cable connection, a Wi-Fi connection, a hotspot connection, and really work with our students to provide them great access, or better access than they would have gotten if we wouldn't have gone into this study. So the next slide, Neil, shows what I just said: the device, the router, the speed, the capacity of the apps. And we've had problems on all of these. We've had security attacks on our internet service provider this week. We've had some of the applications our students connect to out in the cloud go down and get slow, impacting us this week. We have the wireless devices. There's so many different moving parts to this. That's why I'm so proud of the team taking on something that put our capacity of the network at a real test this week and have been successful. Next slide, please. This map I've shown you before. We can identify every kid is a dot on that map, and the color represents the speed. And if I click on any dot, it'll give me information about that individual student, the type of device, the type of internet provider, the connection that they're getting. And this gives us a wealth of information to start being a little bit more surgical in how we're approaching connecting that kid. Next slide. The data that we get from that, we found that not only were our kids during the pandemic, and this is connections to our network by our students, and I can tell you those students from each one of these zip codes, all across the state. In fact, we had students in the weeks of November through the second week of December that were in California, Texas, Michigan, Florida, Ohio, and all throughout Mexico. So this is the future of learning, where we're delivering services and support to children that don't actually have to be sitting within a classroom inside of Santa Fe to get their instruction. This is a map by school district, of across the country. The darker the blue, the better the internet connection. And we sit in an area of the country that does not get very good internet connection. There's just not a lot of internet available, and some of it has to be to the density of the population that we're serving. So this is a bigger challenge for us than it is for kids in Los Angeles or New York or Miami. Next slide, please. To show that, here's Santa Fe Public Schools in the red box. And if you look at the average download speed, 83,000 kilobits per second, we are in the worst shape of all the schools in the study for the amount of bandwidth available. We may be one of the best in the state, but in the country, we're competing with school districts that are giving their kids a lot more throughputs. Download is the video coming to you. Upload is a video you're pushing out. And so this is just to represent, we've got a bigger challenge in New Mexico than they're going to have in other areas. And when you start going into more of our rural areas or more of our mountainous areas, it's going to even be harder. The next slide also illustrates some of the speed. And you can see on this, I put Santa Fe compared to the other school districts, which is in the middle, and red and orange are not good colors to be in as far as the average bandwidth or the speed. And you can see very little blue on the top that indicates those kids have adequate speed. So we're continuing to work, and we've got several things I'll talk about in a second that are trying to catch us up with some of the speeds that they're getting in other parts of the country so that our kids have a great chance. We've seen from the data that 85% of the network is being used by video applications, Google Meet, Zoom, but also YouTube and Khan Academy, musical apps. These video apps contain a lot of information and data, so it's harder to pull that in and out across the network. And it's not only that they log in with the Google Meet, they have several other applications open. I had the honor to be in Wood Gormley classroom, 4th grade, for the last 2 weeks, watching how the kids, and Board President Noble, when you talk about skills, I'm watching kids logging on, flipping from different apps, troubleshooting their computers when they had a problem, helping their other students. I was amazed at the skills that these kids had to navigate not only the technology, but to get engaged and stay engaged when they were given writing assignments, when there's reading by the teacher, when they're doing work in the meet, raising their hands. I was just extremely impressed. And that teacher just did a phenomenal job using a lot of different applications.
May I add to that, Dr. Ryan, if I may? You know, because I think people in our community take for granted, I probably take it for granted, what our teachers and what you and Linda and your teams did in terms of creating lessons and professional development. Because I can tell you, and it's not like, oh, we're so great and everybody else isn't so great, but in some school districts, because of the capacity, right, many kids are just getting Edgenuity, period. They're getting a canned, program, package, instruction. Our kids, when you see the creativity and all of the different apps and all the different ways the teachers are engaging children in our district, when people say, oh, it was a lost year, or depending on, it just really didn't meet their needs or what they're getting, we have to be very careful because we're not making apples to apples comparisons. And I know that Dr. Ryan, you did have an opportunity to present this to the PED, right? I think you did. Was this the one that you did present to PED?
And also Senator
Stewart?
I presented it to several different people. I'll come back with it.
But it's just what's happened in our district is really quite phenomenal. And it's hard to keep tooting our own horn about it, but I think it is important for the public to know that the caliber of instruction and the complexity of the lessons and what was provided in terms of training is really quite phenomenal, and probably why everyone's so exhausted, but it was just really great. And my hat's off to all of you because it's just amazing what people did to make sure that our kids had a quality learning experience, even though we were in the throes of this horrific year.
Yeah, just this last week, we presented to Secretary Stewart and Senator Lujan, because he's put a broadband bill for the state. We were impressed with the data that we have. So I will continue. Next slide, Neil. I also want you to know that there's, when we look at this bandwidth, Google Meets and Zoom will change the resolution or the quality of the image. That's why sometimes you see things blurry. If your network is slow, it'll get blurry. So there's the video quality screencast, me presenting, Neil presenting right now, and then the network performance. And we're able to break out the data on all of those. The bottom is really our network performance, our video quality. You see a lot of red there. That's what we're trying to work. And this is because this is going to the home. This is inside our network. So there's lots of different data that we're pulling together to really try to provide a good quality environment for our kids. The next slide will show, we know how many times a kid will connect to Meets, where they're connecting from, how many times they come to class, how long they're in those classes, the number of minutes. So there's I think this data is going to help us on the instructional side. What kind of engagement are we having with students, and where are students not being engaged, and what can we do academically to try to align that work? Next slide. This is a slide you'll not see from any of our internet providers, but we have the speed of internet from each of the providers and the type of connection that the kids are going to have. And what we found, which was a major finding for us, with the type of device has a significant impact on the speed. And when we bought Chromebooks for in-class use, those are perfect for that. But when you have to take it home, you need much more processing power. You need a better antenna on that device. So you have to get a more expensive device. And so when you look at this, where you see the iPads are faster, that's a device designed to be at home and get an internet and the processing power compared to the kinds of devices we had just in our classes. So we're having some specificity with the type of device and the purpose of that device, whether it's going to be at home and school. And this is going to have a major impact, not only on us, but for everyone across the country. The next slide were some of the preliminary findings. You're going to be, each one of these, Neil will go through and you can start hitting a few of these. Because of the use of video, we need to require a contract with our providers that provides not only download speeds, but upload speeds, does not have data caps, and does not have throttling down once you get to a certain data point. The network latency can cause a real problem with synchronous video, and we see that through board meetings all the time. Students at school connect from multiple locations around the world. Students are using multiple internet devices for every class. So they'll have their computer, they'll have a phone, maybe another tablet. They're using all during the same internet connection. So all of those draw bandwidth from that home. Hotspots are really only a temporary solution until we can get a better fix. We're spending over $200,000 on those right now. And at the end of the year, we'll have nothing that we own. The quality of the device, I've already mentioned, has a significant impact. Even upgrading the home network router. You may have got your internet put in 3-4 years ago, and all that hardware needs to be refreshed at home so that it can take advantage of the higher speeds. And we have also seen, kind of interesting, that our high school kids are all going there'll be 5 to 7 kids at one house, all studying their high school stuff or accessing class. And now it might have been a house that had good internet until 5 or 7 kids got on it, but the kids are grouping. And also we're seeing that same thing with elementary kids. They're getting into pods, learning pods, and they're working together at these remote locations. We've set up a standard for where we're going with the devices and the one-to-one, but we've put out over 650 cellular Wi-Fi spots. We're spending a lot of money. It's great for a quick fix, but it doesn't provide the coverage that we need because some parts of our community don't have good do not have good cellular coverage, and the speeds on those are very slow. Next slide. And this is my last one. We're working with the intergovernmental, where we're working with outside Wi-Fi areas. And we're also looking at this, which we'll do at a second presentation sometime later with Lockett. They've already hooked up 50 homes, and already we've had families in their mobile home parks that have decided, I want to upgrade this. It's giving you 30 megs for free. We're going to upgrade it because this is such a great value for us. This is it's a mesh network across our community, so it provides better, higher speeds and more reliable speeds. And like I said, we'll come back to this, but we see this expansion of our network from the schools into the rest of the community as a key way to get all of our families connected. So with that, I'll take any questions if you have any, and any opportunities we can do to help you advocate for the types of broadband that our kids need.
Well, there's a question. And thank you for that excellent presentation. It's a beautiful question slide. What should we be doing to advocate for the broadband that our kids and their families need?
Well, there's several different types of opportunities. We can broaden our partnership with the city, the county. We can start to put antenna on our facilities and other citywide facilities to be line of sight connections to homes and apartments and other areas that the kids are coming into. We can support some of the legislation that's coming through the FCC and Senator Lujan about providing greater broadband connectivity into the state so that we can start taking advantage of it. Those are just a few of the things. I really think that just like I think it was 56 with the Interstate Act, where the federal government decided we're gonna connect the states through the federal the interstate program to connect for security and for commerce. We need the same kind of effort now to connect our families to not only educational resources, but health resources and a variety of other benefits that connected families can have.
Yes, thank you.
Madam
Totally agree. Yes, Secretary or Vice President Garcia.
Really quick, Dr. Ryan, can you explain to me the difference? The other day, about 3 weeks ago, I was in the Jemez Pueblo area, and there is no broadband there in the rural areas. And so those kids, I go to a different district, I find it hard for them, whether you live in Chimayo or Jemez Springs. So what's the difference between broadband and satellite? Is it all the same thing? And the towers? Because, you have Eli that owns the richest man on the planet. So can you explain to us really quick the difference between broadband and the tower and the satellites? Really quick, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, President Noble, members of the board, and Secretary Garcia. The broadband is the connectivity that several different options can provide. So you can have a cellular connectivity, you can have Wi-Fi in your schools, you can have satellite connectivities, which our remote areas have. They are even putting drones up that can stay up and they're tethered to the ground with power, and they go up and they'll provide a antenna over the community that does line of sight, and they'll stay up for a month as long as there's not too high of winds. So there's a variety of ways that we can connect. Satellite is one of those to provide the broadband or the internet access to our families.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because the other night, my friend of mine that lives in La Cienega, him and his girlfriend were out saying they saw like these 5 different stars going across, and it was actually 5 satellites that were going across. So broadband doesn't just mean a fiber in the ground. It can mean, like you said, a drone. It can mean satellite. It can mean anything to the top of the world Earth, right?
Yes, it's cellular broadband, or Comcast can provide broadband. So there's different ways to provide it, but let's think of it as internet access, high-speed internet access delivered from a variety of different technologies.
Perfect. Thank you for the answer, and thank you, Dr. Ryan, and your team. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President, and members of the board. And also, in part, agree with Dr. Ryan. I want to add to his response, and that is that we need to start thinking of internet access as a utility, like water, gas, electricity, telephone access. And it's such an equity issue and a health issue and an education issue, an access issue, from signing up to register for your vaccines, to telehealth, to education. And I think when, as we look at policymakers at the federal and state level, framing it as a basic utility, and that needs to be afforded to all residents, is critically important. New Mexico has unique challenges because of the sovereign nations, right? And I know that that has been somewhat of a pediment, but also I think can be overcome. And I know that there was some sort of legislation that was passed that for DO-IT, Department of Information Technology at the state, to move this effort forward. I know there was a panel that I was on that I think Dr. Ryan had the connection there, but I was on a national panel with other educators across the country. And it was the same issue. I mean, throughout the United States, this is an issue, right, of inequities in access. And so I really hope that this will continue to be addressed. I think the pandemic has helped bring it to the forefront. But again, I think pushing for it as a basic utility and framing it in that vein. I mean, who would think that everyone shouldn't have access to water or electricity, right? And we know that that is an issue on some of our tribal lands to this day.
Yes. Other questions from the board? Secretary
Madam
Bozay?
President, thank you. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Garcia, I would just like to say thank you to Tom Ryan, Dr. Ryan, and his team. I, in November, had the unique experience of moving to the boonies, where I could not get any sort of internet access other than satellite, which was very, very, very far from meeting our needs. And so I've worked closely with Patricia Nordby and Dr. Weaver and made several trips to that technology spot in town. And they've worked just really, really hard. And always, I mean, there was just no giving up. They always had another solution and another idea and tireless work. And I especially love hearing about the things that they're doing at a bigger level to meet all the needs of everybody in Santa Fe, and to bring understanding to this at the national level. And that's just incredibly important. And I understand it firsthand now how incredibly critical this is. And so thank you to the entire IT team for all of your hard work.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
So I guess, Dr. Ryan, I do have one big question or burning question, but why are our speeds on that slide that compared all the districts and the speeds, why are ours that bad? I mean, and maybe it's in part because we do often look in state and we're a little bit more of an urban district than many others. And I know part of the answer is that there are multiple factors. But what do you see there with our speeds being that poor?
Well, part of it has to be, we have a lot of military reservations without a lot of people. We've got a lot of federal lands that don't have a lot of infrastructure built out, whether, as Dr. Garcia mentioned, they don't even have the electrical and or water that is needed. And it's the density, so that a lot of the internet providers don't want to invest in a lot of infrastructure to connect small populations. So if you look at that swath of brown that was in that map, those are states that don't have heavy, dense populations. Even Texas, you'll see that clustered around Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. But when you get out wider into the other parts of the state, it really starts to drop off. And so part of it's that. That's why we need some federal influence to push that utility, as Dr. Garcia mentioned, out, so that it's not driven only by what communities can we make the most profit on. It can be pushed out as a basic need or right.
Mm-hmm. But that was, I think it was our district, right? That was compared, it wasn't the whole state, that was compared to like the Dallas Independent School District and the other ones.
Yes. So we were compared to Dallas, a Portland school,
yeah,
East Coast schools. So that those were schools that were in heavier, dense areas than ours. LA was a part of that.
Yeah, okay. So that density and the market's just not that big because we are a rural state.
We are much more fortunate being on the I-25 corridor. As you start to move away from there, the bandwidth drops off pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, that's some great information, and I suppose once we know, we can work on it. I appreciate that. Other questions, comments from the board? Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ryan. That is a little bit sobering, but really good information. We appreciate it. It's a good presentation. Okay, moving on to our action items. We'll start with the consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody wants to consider separately? And if not, is there a motion?
I move acceptance of the agenda action.
I second. Okay, thank you very much. Motion by Dr. Gonzalez, a second by Board Member Price. Any further discussion? I do just want to say I appreciate the bilingual multicultural education program applications for the number of schools that's in there. We are a wonderful bilingual dual language and heritage district, and it's great to see those applications and that work moving forward again. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on the consent agenda. Vice President Garcia? Vice President Garcia, you there on the consent agenda? Okay, we'll try coming back to him. Secretary Bozet?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Board Member Price?
Yes.
Vice President Garcia on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. And the president votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board.
Next, we have our general obligation bond and mill levy election. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We have spoken to you about this in recent times, about the reason for the change in date, primarily due to the appointment of our Congresswoman, Deb Haaland, who is now Secretary of the Interior, which is just really quite thrilling. And but because of that, it had a ripple effect, which impacted the date for our general obligation bond and I believe SB9 election. And I would like well, he is a doctor, Juris Doctor, Josh Granata, to do us the honors here.
Board President Noble, board members, as Dr. Garcia just mentioned, this item on the agenda is simply a formality. We're asking the board to formally vote and move the general obligation bond and mill levy election to November 1st. And at the next board meeting, we can have the proclamation and the resolution ready so that we can give that to the county clerk, and then we can go forward with our election.
We recommend approval.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Granata. Dr. Garcia, any questions from the board? Not if, is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve the new election date for the GO bond to be November of 2021.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second. Okay, thank you, Secretary Bozay. I think Dr. Gonzalez got in there with the second, quick. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. There's no further discussion. Vice President Garcia?
I'm having bad internet connection. Yes, Madam President. Yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. Secretary Bozay?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Board Member Price?
Yes.
And the president votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board.
Staying with the theme, item C on our action agenda is the 2020-2021-7 education technology necessity, say that 3 times fast, resolution. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. When I saw that item, I asked on numerous occasions, are you sure it's supposed to say necessity resolution? And they assured me that it did. I would like to now call on our Chief Financial Officer, Robert Martinez.
Afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Garcia. This evening, Eric Harrigan, along with Kaylee Weimer-Skirch and Arthur Melendres with Module will be presenting a financial presentation to you all in regards to the educational technology resolution.
Welcome, Mr. Harrigan, Mr. Melendres, and there was a third name that I don't.
Yeah, Madam President and members of the board, Eric Harrigan with our RBC Capital Markets, Kaylee Weimer-Skirch with my office as well is on the line. I will kind of keep my comments fairly brief. We have been over this process before in the past. The only kind of significant difference is that we're only selling the education technology notes this year. Because as the previous agenda item stated, moving the general obligation bond election and mill levy election to November, and we would sell those if approved by voters early next year. But the district's assessed valuation has had some good growth over the last couple of years. We expect that the residential values will continue to grow at fairly strong due to the very strong real estate market. The non-residential sort of commercial side of things is a little bit more difficult to tell because of the pandemic and how that impact has had on commercial values. But we do continue to expect growth in the district's tax base because the vast majority of the district's tax base is residential values. The issuance of these education technology notes will continue to maintain the district's historical $1.50 rate associated with the ETNs. And just to provide a quick kind of finance update, the district will be going to voters in 2021 to ask for an additional $100 million to continue that program. The education technology notes were authorized by voters in March of 2019 in the amount of $55 million. The district has issued 22 million of that authorization. And with this 11 million, we'll bring that total to 33 million in total issued. The bonds will have a maturity of 3 years, consistent with what the district has done in the past. From a bond timing standpoint, we will be meeting with the rating agencies next week. We plan to post the preliminary official statement in early May, and we will price the morning of May 13th, and with the board approving the final terms that same day at a special meeting. From just a kind of high level on what's happening in the market, while interest rates have kind of ticked up recently over the last couple of months, short-term rates are still very, very low, almost at their all-time historical low. So we expect that the district will be able to achieve a very attractive interest rate on these education technology notes. And with that, I guess one last thing I'd like to mention is that the closing is scheduled for June 17th, and that's when the money will be available for the district to expend on the education technology projects. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or defer to Art Melendres to go over the necessity resolution.
Thank you very much. Questions from the board? We have been through this process a few times, I think all of us now, so. Okay. If there are no further questions, is there a motion? I'll go ahead and move approval of the education technology necessity resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Any further discussion, questions? We will do a roll call vote. Board Member Price.
Yes.
Gonzalez. That was a yes, correct, Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, it was a yes.
Thank you. Secretary Bozay,
Yes.
Vice President Garcia,
Yes, Madam President, thank you.
and the president votes yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Harrigan, Mr. Melendres. Appreciate your patience tonight and nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you. Next, we have item D on our action agenda, our 2021 NMSBA scholarship nominee, and this is for a student. Dr. Garcia.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board. At the last meeting, it was assigned to Vice President Garcia and member Dr. Gonzalez. The principals working with Associate Superintendent Chavez came up with some amazing nominees, and those were then sent to the board subcommittee who worked on this. And I will turn it over to Dr. Gonzalez and Mr. Garcia to see who they are recommending to the board.
Madam President, thank you, and thank you, Dr. Garcia. And yes, we actually, as a subcommittee, we did talk about this, myself and Dr. Gonzalez, and so I will let her take the lead on this. So we did talk about this as a subcommittee, and so if you can please go forward, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. There were actually two very good candidates, and one of them was going to be going to West Point, and the other had been accepted to a number of different schools, UNM, Baylor, Texas A&M, and is waitlisted for Johns Hopkins and Rice University. And in talking with Rudy, I think that the candidate that is going to go to West Point was a very good candidate, but West Point pays for everything, including their travel there. They get a salary because they're really in the military. So we decided that it would be best to give the scholarship to the other student. And I'm not sure how to say her name. You want me to spell it out or say it? What do you want me to do about that?
Yes, I guess you better try. And you could even put it in the chat in case there's any.
Well, she goes by Neve or Nevy. Nevy is what she goes by. And she's a student at Mandela. And like I said, she's been accepted at a number of different universities. And she's a very high achiever academically. She speaks 3 languages, getting her bilingual seal in her 3rd language of Spanish. She speaks the native language of Tamil, and I'm not sure where that's from. And she's planning to study neuroscience and ambitions to work in the field of surgery or neurosurgery. And she's interested in practicing in a rural or underserved community. Anyway, she's been involved in lots of extracurricular activities, and she's received a number of awards for things so as diverse as writing, science, photography, computing. And she's also served on the mayor's youth advisory board and the governor's STEM challenge twice. So she, I think, is very deserving. Do you have any questions about that?
Madam President, if I may, as the doctor mentioned earlier, yes, we did talk about that. And I'll be upfront, as ex-board member, Maureen Cashman has actually taught a couple little girls that I know, and one of them graduated from West Point about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And West Point is a very prestigious college as well. And like the doctor mentioned, you know what? And that little girl graduated. And when you go to West Point, it's almost like a scholarship is kind of, they pay for everything when you go to West Point. The government, one of the things is West Point, the lawn at West Point, wherever they march, and that's the 2nd highest paid lawn in the nation that the U.S. takes care of other than the White House. And so, yes, as we talked about, West Point pays for the government, we pay for everything for that individual to go to school there. And so that's why we talked about that. And if the young lady actually wants to go to a different university, which that's kind of where we actually came about it. But thank you, doctor, for bringing that forward. Thank you.
Okay, great. And so this young woman is our nominee for the scholarship. And we hope that the NMSBA might select her for the $1,000 monetary award. And Tamil is, I believe, a language spoken in India. And I knew someone at the BBC who spoke it.
And then also, Madam President, all the nominees were very good. It was hard for us to decide that because they were all good. They're all awesome. And so, but just wanted to put that on record. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you both for doing that work. Does one of you want to make a motion?
I move approval of our student.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Dr. Gonzalez, second by Vice President Garcia. Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. I'll start with you this time, Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Board Member Price?
Yes.
Secretary Bozay?
Yes.
Vice President Garcia?
Yes.
And the president votes yes. Good luck to our nominee for the NMSBA scholarship. Okay, moving swiftly along, we have 2 related action items, item E and item F, the El Camino Real Academy roadway easement and the El Camino Real Academy roadway easement donation agreement.
Thank you, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I believe Mr. Romero and where are you, Mr. Granada? Or is it Mr. Castile are here? We have two attorneys, I believe, here to speak to this issue. This was the issue that we did bring to the board in executive session. And so the first one is dealing with the easement, and who will be taking the lead, Mr. Castillo or Mr. Romero?
Superintendent Garcia, I could give a little bit of context to the easement, and then I think we should turn it over to the attorneys, Mr. Dan Castillo, our contract attorney for property issues, and also Mr. Josh Granada, our internal Santa Fe Public Schools counsel for questions. So on the easement itself, this is an easement that will be to provide an additional access to developments that are occurring directly west of El Camino Real. The developments will be approximately 20 for one project and 60 for the other, and in total there may be as many as 100 single unit housing units directly west of El Camino Real. The only place for currently the only place for outward egress from the development is out onto South Meadows Drive, which is very congested as it is. We were approached by the developer to look at an easement that goes north of the property. There's a small portion of the school property, 1,800 square feet, where they'll need an easement to cross in order to further develop the secondary access, which would relieve congestion on South Meadow Road directly in front of El Camino Real. And just to talk about the related issue, the donation agreement, real quickly. The donation agreement came about because there were expenses that the district took on as we were looking into this proposal. There were attorney fees to drop the easement that you had this evening. There's also fees to get an appraisal for the property that we need as required by state. And there was also the property itself, the easement and the cost of the property considered with that donation agreement. So with that, if there's further questions, we'll stand for questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Romero. We have gone over this at least once, but I feel like twice in executive session. It will ease congestion and hopefully increase safety around El Camino Real Academy. So, any questions, comments from the board? I will go ahead and move approval of the El Camino Real Academy roadway easement in that case.
I will second that.
Thank you, Secretary Bozay. Any further discussions, questions? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Vice President Garcia?
Yes, Madam President, thank you.
Thank you. Secretary Bozay?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Board Member Price?
Yes.
And the President votes yes. Thank you very much. We have approved the easement. Now on the related issue, the El Camino Real Academy roadway easement donation agreement. I will go ahead and move approval of that.
I will second that as well.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Bozay. Any further discussion, questions from the board? We will go ahead and do our roll call vote. Vice President Garcia?
Yes, just a couple of questions on it, but yes, I'll vote for it. Thank you.
Okay. Secretary Bozay?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Board Member Price?
Yes.
And the President votes yes. Vice President Garcia, in an unconventional moment, do you want to ask questions after we've approved the item?
No, I drive to that area every day, and it's just, I understand. No, I'm good. I'm good with it. Madam President, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Castile, once again, we have, heard your beautiful poetic speech ad nauseum, and we can release you now. Well, now we can't actually hear you because you're still muted.
I was just apologizing for droning on.
Yes, right.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you
Good
very
night.
much
Thank
for
you.
being here and for your patience.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Granada, Mr. Romero. Okay, we are now on item 11, board discussion and possible action, superintendent search update and process. We've done a lot of work. I want to thank my fellow board members. It's really wonderful how everyone has rolled up their sleeves, done the work, read the packets, spent the time in the room. We have a long day ahead of us on Saturday, but I really appreciate all of you. And I also want to give big appreciation and thanks to Howard Exner, Alma Behar, Ruth Williams, Dr. Garcia, and I'm sure there are others who've been involved that I don't even know about in such a detailed way, but really appreciate all of the work on top of all of the work at one of the busiest time of year that you are doing to support us in the board's superintendent search and decision. Anyone have any questions or anything they want to say about that?
Madam President,
Yes.
I would just like to, Madam President, thank you. Members of the board, Dr. Garcia, I would just like to take one more opportunity to remind the community that we would love to have their feedback by the end of the day tomorrow regarding the superintendent search, regarding anything else that they would like to share, what's working, what's not, all of your wonderful questions that you've posed to the community for their input. I've appreciated what I've gotten so far, and if there's anybody else that would like to submit, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Bose, and I want to add to that, I very much appreciate the folks who have taken the time to reach out via email, via telephone, via carrier pigeon. No, I haven't gotten any of those, but really appreciate everybody who is thinking about this, paying attention to this. And also thanks to all of the applicants. Who submitted, all 17, and certainly all of our finalists who will be talking to on Saturday. We really appreciate all of the effort and heart and soul that went into these applications.
Madam President?
Yes, go ahead, Board Member Price.
I just wanted to point out the carrier pigeons are extinct.
Are they really?
I believe so.
Huh. Okay, I will be Googling that later. I didn't know.
That would explain it. I mean, don't hold your breath.
Yes. I was sort of thinking about the weird doves that fly around outside my house, but they're not carrier pigeons. I know that. Okay, moving on to advanced planning. Dr. Garcia, we don't seem to have a finance study session on for next week.
I thought we did.
It's not listed on this agenda, so let's just.
It should have been because we asked for it last time. I think it was an oversight.
Okay.
There should be a study session listed for next Thursday, the 22nd. The study sessions, I believe, begin at 4, correct? And so we will have a study session on the 22nd, but we are going to cancel the audit committee meeting for, what date is it? May 13th. We are knee deep in budget and there isn't any pressing actions to be taken by the audit committee. So we will not be having one. So I want to take that off of advanced planning for May 13th.
And Madam President, there's also not a CRC meeting on the 28th. Our next meeting will be May 12th.
Given everybody being out at schools and we're so behind with everything right now, budget and applications and that time of year end of year reports that have to go to the state and applying for all of these different grants and building budget, it's about all we can manage. So these other things that we can take off our plate, we're having to do so.
Yep. Not to mention everybody being in the classroom or serving lunch at a cafeteria or whatever it may be. Okay, so sounds like 3 adjustments to our advanced planning calendar. We will be together. It actually should be at 8:30 a.m. So 4 adjustments, 8:30 a.m. on the 17th. And unfortunately, Board Member Price does not get a breakfast burrito as we are now.
Unless she cooks it herself.
Right, doing this virtually.
So can I ask a question, Madam President?
Of course.
Can somebody make some homemade tortillas? They can even look like Texas. That's fine with me.
Are you volunteering, Rudy?
I was going to say, I think you should make the tortillas.
No, I'll try to roll a tortilla. It'll look like Texas, but that's okay.
It'll taste good.
Taste is all that matters.
That's right.
So we will all be serving ourselves breakfast on the 17th, and we will start the meeting at 8:30 a.m. and go into our executive session for our interviews on, again, Saturday the 17th. We then will have a study session on April 22nd, beginning at 4 p.m. Dr. Garcia, Mr. Martinez, we wish you and your teams all the best in preparing a budget at the latest time, given that we got the unit value later than ever. So good luck. Thank you for your hard work in advance or already been going on.
So Madam President, really quick, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So Robert Martinez, people may not know this about the young guy, and he's actually one of the #1 top 5 ropers in the entire state. And I heard he can make some good tortillas. So maybe Mr. Martinez can make the tortillas.
I think we need him on the budget, but yes. I mean,
budget first, then tortillas.
If he has extra time.
But thank you for what the entire staff does, Dr. Garcia, and you've created a great team. And it's hard for me to say goodbye to you all. But I understand you all have to do. Look at the secretary. She has that smile like she wants that tortilla. And so thank you, staff, for what you all do. Your passion for the schools, I totally appreciate that. And thank you once again, all the awards that were given tonight, because you all deserve it. And thank you, Madam President. And I will see you guys. I'll try to make tortillas, or I'll have my aunt or my grandma make them. But thank you all.
I think next week we might need a trivia section on the agenda so we can learn about carrier pigeons, unlikely or unknown roping talents.
Right, hidden talents of all the cabinet. I mean,
exactly. Okay, so 8:30 on the 17th for our special meeting and superintendent interviews, 4 p.m. on the 22nd for a study session on finance, canceled CRC on the 28th, tentative executive session, regular meeting on the 6th, then CRC on the 12th, no audit committee on the 13th. And of course, as ever, we will review our advanced planning at our future meetings. Anything further? I think we're all hungry now that we've been talking about tortillas. Okay, thank you all very much. We are adjourned. We'll see some of you on Saturday and the rest of you next week. Best wishes. Thanks, Joe.
Bye, Joe.
Thank you, staff.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia, and your staff. And I guess I'll try to make this, or I'll have my aunt something.